Hi, I'm Beck McIntosh. Welcome to Career Jam. We're here today to talk about the essentials of LinkedIn and how to get a job. LinkedIn is one of the biggest professional platforms in the world where you can be found and recruited. So it's an essential place for you to be if you want to get your next job. LinkedIn has 700 million active users, and in 2019 it was voted through Business Insider as one of the most professional networking platforms in the world. Last year, in 2019, 4 million people were recruited through LinkedIn alone. So if you don't have a profile, it's time to get on, and if your profile needs a refresh, it's time to press the button. So first step we're going to take you through is getting your message straight. In LinkedIn, there's searchable content. What will come up if someone searches on someone like you or in your industry? It will be your name, your tagline, and your image. Image matters. So if you have a photo on LinkedIn you're not happy about, please change it. It doesn't take much. I took mine on a DSLR camera. You've got great phones these days with the tech to make that photo look good or something that you're happy about. Think of it as a nice tight headshot and make sure it's reflective of who you are. If you're a bit creative, you might have some earrings. If you are a corporate in C-suite, you might like to have that suit and tie option or the jacket and blouse. And the trend these days is authenticity. So we really want it, when we see the photo and when we see you, we want that to be kind of similar. You don't want the kind of bold and the beautiful, looking off into the distance, blow waved, 80s wham hair. We just want to keep it close enough to who you are and what you represent. So this is part of your image, and also there's a background that sits behind your photo on LinkedIn, and that background is also an opportunity for you to showcase yourself. So for people that are thought leaders or innovators, people that like to sort of position themselves as knowledge holders in their industry, there might be a photo of you holding a microphone in the corner of that larger LinkedIn photo, really thinking about how that's resized for mobile. So making sure that once you have loaded up that background image, that you also check it out on mobile to make sure that parts of the essential photo isn't cut off. There might be some other things that represent your industry. It could be some sort of piece of hardware. It might be a biotech device. It might be an farm landscape because you're in ag tech. So thinking about what would be an image that supports the claims that I'm making, because what we want to do for an employer is to make it all make sense. We don't want any little red flags or assumptions made about us that are not on the message that we want to portray, because this part of the process is one of the very few parts of the process in recruitment terms that we can control. So with your taglines, you want to keep it consistent with the other messaging that you have. So starting off by writing a little elevator pitch, who you are, how many years you've worked in your industry, what experience do you have, what level of experience do you have? Is there a way you can write 1 or 2 sentences that wrap up your experience? Now from that elevator pitch, or those 2 little sentences that is like the tiniest executive summary in the world of you, then you try to get that down and distill that even further to make that into your tagline that sits underneath your name in LinkedIn. So the summary is really when we talked about that elevator pitch, it's sort of like an extended executive summary or an extended elevator pitch. It's summarizing the amount of years experience you've had in one or several industries. It's sort of bringing everything together, who you are, how much experience that you've had, what are you passionate about, what are the brands that you've worked on, what are the projects, what are the budgets. So some of those headline kind of acts, it's like you're writing a bio as if you're going to be a speaker and they've said, can you write 1 paragraph that summarizes you? So think if you were going to speak at an event and your audience is who you think are going to hire you, then that sort of space in that summary would be like a biography that you would do for those purposes. So the thing about networks is it's kind of like growing a garden, and not all of us, including myself, may have expertise or green thumbs when it comes to that space. But what you may have is the ability to collate and collect these people in one place and just keep them there. Because that's the thing, LinkedIn is like a corporate holding pen for all of your contacts. So what you are able to do is hold those contacts in one place. And the great thing is that the contacts never stay in the same place. Like if you're part of an active network, then people are actually moving, changing jobs, getting promotions, starting their own businesses, joining a startup, founding a startup. So these are some great opportunities for you to collate those people who then go on to other opportunities and potentially can bring you along on the journey or be a collaborator for a project you want to do in the future. The idea is this is one that you just sort of chip away at time after time, and it's a way for you to curate and collate your professional network without actually having to sort of invite them on Facebook or get them into your sort of personal space. You want to keep them over there on LinkedIn, collated. It's then a searchable database for whenever you are looking at transitioning to maybe running your own business and you need to give yourself some BD leads and some contacts. It might be potential collaborations. Sometimes as you're collecting these people over the years, you don't recognize the value in the network that you have. So that's another great reason to sort of chip away at LinkedIn and slowly collate people. So feel free to say no to, if you're thinking, is this person valuable to the career that I'm developing into the future? Are there possible collaborations there? Click yes. If not, just say no. It's as easy as that to not accept that invitation. Don't feel that you can't do that, because that's absolutely essential as you're going forward in your career, because people will leverage your network and you have to see the value of your own network, people wanting to access that as well. The other thing with LinkedIn is that once you've accepted someone, you're not really happy, maybe they're trying to sell you stuff, maybe they're reaching out to people in your network, getting a bit scammy, block them. Don't be afraid to find out that setting in LinkedIn, block them, and if someone's being just too many of those things in your feed that you just don't want to see, you can actually click a notification to say that you don't want to see that. So these are all parts of getting familiar with the platform, knowing how to work it, knowing how to optimize it in terms of your time and resource that you're going to spend on it. In the slower times, just endeavor to return to LinkedIn and make sure that you're every now and again updating things that are happening, but also seeding your network and making sure that people are aware, hey, I'm still out there, and that might be by celebrating a win with your network. It might be celebrating a success or an award that you've received, a team achievement, calling out people in the team and recognizing them for their efforts. All of this is positioning you within your field as a knowledge holder with expertise. So all of these things help. If you're not comfortable, sort of creating your own content, you might like to share other people's content. There might be an interesting article you can share, make a little comment about, some sort of new report coming out, something that positions you as understanding and sharing knowledge within your industry. That's a really important thing about LinkedIn, but it's also a little nudge. I remember on Facebook in the early days, you could sort of nudge people. It's kind of like that. It's just a reminder. So when people are potentially going through a process, they're expanding teams, they're wanting to hire in expertise, that might then be just the right time for them to connect the dots between your experience and the roles that they have available. Updating your skills is something that's quite relevant on LinkedIn. Other people can recommend your skills and you can ask for a recommendation. So be sure to check that item out in the platform. People also ask for recommendations. Now, you don't want to leave this to the last minute, like when you're applying for a role and you need to have references. You want to be able to sort of collate them at the end of a project. Maybe you've done a big project and maybe you want to sort of be able to justify that or demonstrate the work that you've done there. Maybe you reach out to that person you've collaborated with and ask them for a recommendation on LinkedIn. In fact, I know someone who every 6 months does a consistent message out to people and asks for a recommendation, and I'll show you an example of what that is. And it's just, you know, there's no shame in it. You know, you want to be active, you want to have the support of your network and build credibility, and that's what this process is all about. When people are looking at you, they're making assumptions about you based on your profile. So how can you put forward the most credible profile that demonstrates that you have expertise, experience, network connections, and all of these coming together is the value proposition that you bring to an employer. That's the essentials of LinkedIn. You now have the opportunity to work through each of those points and make sure you're building the most credible brand you have. We're at a position, at a time in technology where we still have control of the recruitment process and in terms of who we are as a brand. There will come a time in the future where there are pieces of data about us that are aggregated, whether it is from LinkedIn or whether it's from our social media or any type of digital footprint we have. And we will be assessed before we even approach an employer. And they'll be using all types of technology to assess us and test us. And this time in history, we actually have an opportunity to sort of position ourselves in the best way we can with as much control as we can. So really make the most of this time and build that network and making sure that you hit those essentials of LinkedIn. I hope you enjoyed the video today, and if you've got any questions, comments, or examples of where you've smashed LinkedIn and made it work for you and got headhunted, I'd love for you to post it in the comments below. Please subscribe to Career Jam, and I look forward to you joining our community.